You're listening to the Outer Banks This Week podcast, a place for people to hear what's going on up and down the beach and to get the truth about what really goes on around the Outer Banks. So, are you ready? Here we go.
All right. Thank you so much, Wes. Outer Banks This Week podcast, episode 141, Thanksgiving edition. That's what I'm going to call it. It's all brought to you by Kelly's Automotive in Manio. Looking for that perfect vehicle for that special someone this holiday season? I mean, Kelly can likely put you in that vehicle of what you're looking for. Kelly can search all over the United States for all sorts of vehicles, and he can have them brought in. He can go get them. I mean, Kelly's the man when it comes to automotive deals on the Outer Banks. Check him out online at kellysobxauto.com. And of course, you can't have any bugs crawling around during your Thanksgiving dinner. And if you do, you need to call Outer Banks Pest Control and get rid of them suckers online at outerbanks-pestcontrol.com. All the creepy crawlies, the varmints, the critters, the mice, the rodents, whatever. They can help you get rid of them. They can either relocate them or eradicate them depending on the case, okay? And I'm telling you, Miss Jessie that runs and operates Outer Banks Pest Control, one of the sweetest people you ever meet in your life, but she's tough on them varmints. Again, online at outerbanks-pestcontrol.com. What an absolutely gorgeous weekend we had here on the Outer Banks. So let me start by saying, we typically, in my house, my family and I, we will typically go to my wife's aunt's house in like the Bristol, Tennessee, Bristol, Virginia area. Okay. We go out there, we'll go and do they do the lights on the Bristol Raceway, and we'll go ride around and look at them. And I mean, it's just a wonderful atmosphere out there in that Bristol, Tennessee, Bristol, Virginia area. It's a beautiful place. We really enjoy going out there. Well, some things happened and we weren't able to go this year. So what we ended up doing, my wife, one of her awesome homeowners that she helps manage their property and whatnot over at Beach Realty, said, why don't you just come stay at one of my houses and just pay the cleanup fee or whatever? I think that's how it worked, honestly. I'm not 100% on that part, but I mean, we ended up staying at a beautiful house right there on the ocean in Kitty Hawk. Brought our dog over there. We had friends over to watch football on Saturday. And I mean, it was just a much needed weekend for this guy right here. I've been going through some stuff here lately, y'all, and we're not gonna put you through all that. I know y'all would listen, but I'm not gonna put you through all that. And it was just nice. I mean, the friends came over, we watched football, we laughed, we cut up, we talked trash with each other, and it was just an all around good time. So great way to kick off Thanksgiving week. And now here we are into Thanksgiving week, and I'm telling you, this is my favorite holiday. Thanksgiving is it's like Christmas without the presents in a lot of ways. Now, you know, Thanksgiving, we are to give thanks in all things we do. We should be thankful for every day we wake up. We should be thankful for all the many blessings that we have, and be thankful for even like some things that we're blessings in disguise. What does my man say, Garth Brooks? Unanswered prayers. We should be thankful for the unanswered prayers. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things we should be thankful for in our lives. And I am super thankful for everything that I have, and my wife, my kids, my good Lord Jesus above. I mean, there's just so many great things going on, and I just look forward to Thanksgiving, celebrating it with all of my loved ones. It's, again, my favorite holiday, and I mean, I enjoy the cooking part. I fix a pretty mean broccoli casserole, y'all. I mean, I'd put my broccoli. I got to thank Miss Lynn Wilson of Wanchies for sharing her recipe with me, and I've doctored it up a little bit. So, but again, at the same time, very good, and I'd put it up against anybody's. I do some different stuff to it that would make it very, very good. My son likes to make his cornbread muffins, and we do that. My wife, oh my gosh, she'll make them deviled eggs. Ooh, love them deviled eggs. I could eat a whole plate of them. I could make that my whole Thanksgiving meal, and I'd be happier than a clam in high tide. But again, so many great things. I mean, the Outer Banks Thanksgiving is just fan-daggum-tastic. And if you're going to be spending it here on the Outer Banks, you've hit pay dirt right there. I mean, that's just amazing stuff. So again, lots of things looking forward to going into the Christmas season and whatnot, and New Year's. Just, I will say though, this year has gone by so fast. Holy smokes, it feels like it was just like baseball season. You know what I mean? As far as like for like the local rec league here, you know, it feels like we just got that started. I mean, oh, just so many things, so many great things. Coming up in this episode of the podcast, so Miss Jan Dawson, going to go pay her a visit at her home in Buxton. Going to talk to her about her new book, Tangled Lines, and just what she's been up to here lately and some different things about the book and where you can find the book and all that kind of fun stuff. So we'll talk to her about that. I do want to thank Miss Jen Crossman for being on the podcast last week with the Misfit Bars. I mean, that's Misfit Bar Crawl's already kicked off. People are already partying. I've been seeing pictures all weekend of the Misfit Bar party crawl. So if you haven't listened to episode 140 of the podcast, please go back and give it a listen, and you'll understand what all the fun is going to be taking place with all the Misfit Bars and all the activities going on there. Captain Marty. So Captain Marty's just, I mean, we're still plugging along with the captain. You can go online and type in the words captain and the words Marty into Google, and you will find Captain Marty. He's right there. So if you need to listen to his fishing reports, we're getting ready to put some new stories online. His Other Side of Fishing show, we're getting ready to get that ready to record again for the month of December. So lots of fun things going on with the captain. And if you want to be a part of the captain, you can be a part of Captain Marty for 2026. I mean, this will be Captain Marty 2026 edition coming up. So we'll talk more about that in the near future. But again, all the fishing reports, all the stories, all of his Other Side of Fishing show can be listened to online at outerbanksthisweek.com. All right, let's just go. Let's just jump right into some shout outs. I got one specific shout out I want to give. I'm sure I'll think of another one, though, while I'm giving my first one. But shout outs. Hey, let me know if you're listening. Justin at outerbanksthisweek.com, or give me a call, 252-216-2797. You call that number, and that rings me up here, the Outer Banks This Week podcast, and we would love to talk to you, play back your voice recording or whatnot, and answer any questions that you may have. So, again, you can email me, Justin at outerbanksthisweek.com, or 252-216-2797. Give me a call. First shout out is going to go to the Manteo High School soccer team right here in Manteo, North Carolina. They won the state championship just last Friday. Congratulations to the men's soccer team for winning the state championship. And what's so funny is the same soccer coach, the men's soccer coach, he coached a women's state championship team in Manteo just a few years ago. His name's Ralph Cleaver. Fantastic guy, very nice guy, great coach, obviously. He's got these soccer teams he's coaching up to state prominence. So great to have another state championship coming back to Manteo. Good job to those young men on that team, and especially congratulations to Coach Ralph Cleaver. They did a podcast with us a while back. I had the soccer team on the program. Maybe I'll get them to come back in. We'll see what happens. I also want to give another shout out to Dave and Dee Bragg. And when I see them, they hang out with my brother Dirt a lot over at Lost Colony Brewery. I'll walk in and they will tell me about how they've been listening to the podcast and give me recaps and all that kind of stuff about what I talked about and ask them questions and stuff. But all around great people. Love them very much. So I want to say hello to Dave and Dee. And I also need a shout out while I'm at it. Say, I knew this is how it all happens. Bill and Cindy Sorokas. They play trivia with me and they also listen to the podcast. Love those folks. They're super sweet people. And I just appreciate their love and support they've been giving me with the podcast over all this time. So I really want to say thank you to them and thank you to each. I'm very thankful. There we go. Thanksgiving. Thankful to each of you that listen to the podcast every week. Just like my guy, Mr. Adam, up there in the Edinburgh area of Chesapeake. He is my P1 listener. All right. My man listens every week and he lets me know what he likes about the podcast. He'll ask me questions, stuff like that. That's my dude. Love me some Mr. Adam. So thank you. I'm very thankful for all of you for listening to the podcast. All right, quick break. When we come back, I'm going to pack up my gear and I'm going to move it on down to Buxton, North Carolina, where I'll be hanging out with Miss Jan Dawson. And she has a beautiful home, y'all. We're going to talk about her new book, Tangled Lines. It's November, and Outer Banks Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram at Milepost 5.5 in Killable Hills is bringing unbeatable savings. All 2025 Ram 1500s, 0% financing for 72 months, or 10% off MSRP plus 3.9% for 72 months. 2025 Grand Cherokees, 0% for 60 months, or save over $6,000 off MSRP. Shop today at Outer Banks Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram.com and drive home incredible deals. Come see what everyone in town is talking about and see why we are the island dealer that deals. All right, I've made my way down to Buxton as I said I was going to do. And of course, I've landed at the beautiful home. Let me say that. You have a beautiful home. The beautiful home of author Jan Dawson. Miss Jan, how are you?
Doing really well. Thank you so much for asking. It's been a good year. It's hard to believe it's been a year since we sat here and did pretty much the same thing about Hooked on You.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, it's just, I think about just how fast this year has gone, because this honestly, 2025, it's been a very fast year for me. There's been so many things that's just been kind of going on, and I've been running up and down the beach and running down to Hatteras when I get a chance. And then I'm all over the place. I'm actually having to go make trips to Edenton right now. So not that I'm not complaining. It's just I'm running a lot. So it's been a fast year.
It is. I've often said this year's had wings.
Yes.
Just flown.
And my mother has always told me that as I get older, the time goes by faster.
Trust me, she's right.
Mother is correct.
Yes,
okay. Because I mean, and I've always said, I'd probably be in a lot better off if I'd listened to Mama the first time. But we digress. So we have a new book. So we've got Storm Season, okay, Hooked on You, and now we've got Tangled Lines. And Tangled Lines, it brings us back to the story of Joe and Dare. Now, how did that come about?
Like many things, it's an interesting story. When I wrote Storm Season, as we talked about that before, it was really accidental, and I had no idea that it would turn out to be 3 books. And when I wrote Hooked on You, which followed Storm Season, I brought in some new characters. It was a different story, but I kept Dare and Joe and Sienna and Mike and all those folks, Chris and Susan, in the background. Okay. Well, I started to hear back from readers who were giving me really good feedback. They loved the books, but they wanted to know what happened to Joe and Dare, because that was a relationship that was just kind of out there hanging. There had been no real resolution. They were good friends. Mm-hmm. And I think people who read romance want to know if there's a happily ever after.
Right.
In the business, it's called an HEA, I've learned. Happily ever after.
HEA.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, I'm going to try to note that.
So I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, maybe I'll write another book. And this one will bring Joe and Dare back together and decide which way the relationship's going to go. I don't want to give up too much in the story, but that's how it all came about. And people have been really happy. And I think at the end of Tangled Lines, especially in the epilogue, it brings everything to closure. And I think most readers, I haven't heard to the contrary, are very happy with how it ended.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So that's excellent, because sometimes you wonder where the characters, like you just said. So that's definitely something you've been able to kind of bring back to life somewhat. So I got to ask you this, though. What was it like writing about another beach area, and where did the idea of Woods Hole come from?
Well, in the story, and I'm not giving too much away, Joe decides that she's going to take her degree in biology and oceanography and move forward. She's pretty sure she wants to go on and do research. I had, prior to writing this, had never been to Woods Hole, but I had a memory of my father going there when I was just a little girl. I mean, in the infancy, but he would always talk about what a great place Woods Hole was. And of course, at that time, we're talking many, 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 many years ago. It's certainly not the Oceanographic Institute it is today. But I knew, because he had often talked about it, that it had grown and developed and become world renowned. And I thought, I want a place that's not too far away. I mean, I couldn't put her in California or something that I really had no knowledge about. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing some research about Woods Hole, and I thought that would be the perfect place for her to go from here, because it's East Coast,
right? Yep.
But it's another beach community.
Yes.
And I learned that a lot of beach communities have a lot of similarities. It doesn't matter whether it's Massachusetts or Florida or South Carolina or North Carolina, New Jersey. Obviously, there are differences, but there are also a lot of similarities.
Absolutely. You know, I can definitely attest. I mean, I've been, there's a community in Florida, Fernandina Beach, Florida. And I remember being on their like strip of road right next to the ocean. And I was like, this reminds me a lot of the beach road in like Nag's Head. And just, again, like you said, there's similarities, obviously some differences, but there's definitely similarities for sure. Now you visited Woods Hole and you did a book signing there. Now talk to me about that. What was that like?
It was awesome.
Okay.
I mean, really, truly, it was amazing. I was very trepidatious because, I'm talking to people who live in another community and wondering what their perception was of how I had written about their area. Now, I had visited Woods Hole last fall.
Okay.
The book was already written, but before it got too far along in the process, I wanted to make sure that what I saw and what I experienced in a visit to Woods Hole was true or was accurate. Accurate would be a better word. I don't know what goes on in the inner workings of Woods Hole, but my part of the story that's interior to that is about people's emotions and reactions and collegial interactions. And that's true wherever you work. So I wasn't so worried about that, but I wanted to get the atmosphere of the town, of the area, of the beach.
Yes.
And when I got there, I just knew it. I looked at my husband and I said, I think I've nailed it. This is it. I didn't have any qualms at all about going forward at that point. So we stayed at a bed and breakfast and we're talking to the owners, and it's very a gregarious woman. And she and her husband were so excited. And they said, we want you to come back in the spring after the book's published and do a book signing. So off I went. In May, we visited. And again, I was a little anxious and nervous because I thought, what if they don't feel the same way I feel? What if they say, you got us all wrong? This isn't. Much to the contrary, a lot of the conversation centered around what we were just talking about, how similar ocean communities can be dealing with all the different kinds of issues, seasonal communities, people coming in and out, and also about sometimes, and this is kind of one of the themes of the book, is how hard it is to leave home.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Because that's having to leave home can be definitely a very difficult thing.
I've seen it here in the 10 years that I've lived here on Hatteras Island. And it's true. You do have people who go to school or go off, get married, whatever, and they don't come back. But there are an awful lot of people. This island really is a magnet.
Yes.
People can go so far and it just pulls them right back again.
Amen. I remember when I left for the Army back, over 20 years ago, and I remember being gone for about 8 years-ish or so. And I just was like trying to figure out every way I could get back
and
to
here
this
you
area.
Are.
Yeah, maybe not Hatteras Island, but Roanoke Island, where I'm from. And again, just
the whole Outer Banks area.
Yes. I mean, amen. So you seem to try to add an undercurrent of sorts in your novels. Okay. So in Storm Season, it was about the resilience of the island and the way the community pulls together in times of need. And in Hooked on You, it was about the role that the fishing plays on the island and the importance of the first responders like the Hatteras Island Rescue Squad. Now, what were the underlying themes in Tangled Lines?
I think the biggest one was about trying to make choices of whether to stay or whether to go, and how individuals can adapt or not adapt to new things and new places. Joe made a big leap to go from Hatteras to Woods Hole, and it was very exciting for her, and it opened her eyes to a lot of new things. Meanwhile, Dare is here continuing his work as a charter boat captain, trying to decide if that's really what he wants for the rest of his life.
Okay.
And I think those are important decisions that we all make, and sometimes not just as young people, as older people too. Do I stay on Hatteras, with some of the issues that we're having with transportation and those sorts of things? That all fits together. It's some of the stresses and strains of choosing to live in an area that's very unique.
Well, and you're absolutely right, because that's definitely some of the pressures and everything, because this is we are in a unique place and we have our own little quirks of things, the way things go around here, and just trying to kind of navigate through life some days can be like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to be able to, with the roads and, with the water.
Yeah. When you and I set this appointment, it was sort of like, well, I hope Highway 12 will be open that day.
Exactly.
Who knows?
Praise the Lord, it was. But yeah,
and not making light of it. It's a serious thing, but it is true. And you will either learn to go with the flow, or you will have to make choices.
That's true. And you're absolutely right. Now, got to ask you this. What has it been like to write 3 novels ending up in a series?
It's pretty unbelievable for me. I sometimes go back and reread parts of the books, and I have a hard time. I know this is going to sound very strange, but I can't believe that I wrote what I wrote. It's almost like these books have been when they come into my head. I use Storm Season as the example. It had been in my head for so long that when I started to write, it was, how people say you have a brain dump or whatever.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
It was like right. I had a movie in my head, and I was just watching the movie and writing what the characters were saying and how they were looking and what the sky looked like and what the storm sounded like. And many times I would go in with an idea. This has actually happened in all 3 books. And just to tease a little bit, we'll talk about it later in my 4th book. There are people who come into the book that weren't part of my original idea, or I had an idea of how a character would be, but they turned out to be completely different. I think in Storm Season, the biggest surprise was Mike, Joe's father, who I initially had in the book as someone who was not very likable, didn't really have much of a role to play. And as it turned out, he became the big peacemaker in the book for the family with all the issues that they had going on.
Right.
And that was surprising to me. And so I think the fact that I was able to take the characters from Storm Season, put them a little bit in Hooked on You, but bring in Jenny and have another story. And then in Tangled Lines, believe it or not, Jenny and her crew will still show up. They're obviously not the main thrust of the story. But when I got to that point, to the end of Tangled Lines and wrote the epilogue, I thought, okay, for these people, for these characters, this is the end. And they seemed to be happy with that because I didn't have them coming back into my mind at night or in times when I was thinking, saying, you need to write this, you need to write another, that's done. It's all
that's
quiet.
How you know it's all.
They're happy, yes. When the characters quiet down, it's all good.
You inspired another question for me. You were talking about just a second ago when you kind of began to answer that question. You were like, I look and it's like, oh my gosh, I've written these 3 books. I can't believe I've done this. Now, I'm sure you and other authors have conversations from time to time, different people that that write books. Do they feel a lot of the same ways that you do when they like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just wrote this trilogy? I mean, I guess could we call it that?
Yeah,
is that safe to say?
It turned out to be that way. The honest truth is I don't know. I don't know a lot of people that write. Because okay. I wasn't a career writer.
Right,
it wasn't
course.
like this is something that I've worked on and been in writers groups and those sorts of things. So I don't know if my style or my experience is unique.
Okay.
I know that people who write for I think I know this because I've seen authors, big time authors. Let's say the Nicholas Sparks of the world.
Okay, the Nicholas Sparks.
The people that are writing and writing and writing. When you have an agent and you have a publisher, which remember I'm self-published,
yes,
so I don't have an agent. They are expecting you, just like you have a boss that expects you to do certain things.
Yes.
That agent will come around and say, I need to see your next 5 chapters. Where are those 5 chapters? Or I need to see your plot. Where you told me you were going to get. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. So I'm wondering if they have the luxury of being able to come up with a story and write it at their leisure when they have an agent that's demanding. Now, if you are like a Nicholas Sparks, unbelievably talented and all, I'm sure you can, number one, tell the agent, take a hike while
you need to,
it. But also, maybe you have a way that you write that's much easier. So it would be interesting for me if I ever got around a group of people to ask them, writers,
right,
that if they do that, and maybe it's different for some stories and some plots, it comes very quickly, and other ones are a bit more of a bit more of a struggle.
Right. I got you. Well, you kind of gave a little interesting perspective because it's like you said, some of the Nicholas Sparkses of the world have agents that are like, where is this? You know what I mean? And they have like yours is just so naturally flowing, and it's so, I don't know if relaxed is the right word, but like you are able to just process it. Like you said, like it's almost like you have a movie playing in your head and you're just writing what the characters look like, what they're saying, how they're feeling, their reactions and stuff like that. And you're able to just kind of, in a way, like I said, relax in a relaxed way, put that out. And I think it shows in your writing style that you're not on a deadline. You're not on anybody else's schedule. You're on your schedule.
Right.
And that, I believe, resonates with the readers.
Well, I hope that it does. And I would be really remiss to say that it's not like I sit down and write the book and then I publish it. I do, over the course of the 3 books, I have individuals that are good friends of mine that have different skill sets from different work backgrounds that they have, who read the book for different reasons in its draft form. Some of them are looking for typos. Some of them are looking for structure and plot holes. It's not a large group of people, but so they give it back to me and I go through it again before I even send it to my editor. I do have a professional editor.
Yes.
And so a lot of that takes out hopefully any hiccups or bumps or things, but it's a team project. I don't know of anyone really that can do it all by themselves.
Right.
I wouldn't think one to ever edit your own work because you know how you want it to be, but maybe that's not the best way.
Of course. So with all that being said, I believe you got your team together or whatnot, the individuals that you trust the most. And there's a 4th book on its way. Now, this is something new, possibly?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So it is actually written, done, been through the readers and the editor.
Okay.
So it'll be coming out in the spring. Because after all, Tangled Lines was this year, so the new book is next year. I can tell you that it's called Building a Little Love. Building a Little Love. And it, of course, takes place on Hatteras Island.
Okay.
And it's a new story with new characters and new love. That's how I like to put it.
Okay. I dare ask any more questions about it because I don't, I know that we've got to leave it out.
We'll talk about it next year.
Next year, maybe next spring, we come back and revisit this.
Right.
I think that might be what we end up doing.
Right.
Okay. So your books are categorized as, I guess, quote unquote, sweet romance. Now, do you still believe the romance aspect is central to your books?
I do. And I think that's really important. I'm not off on a diatribe to do anything. I bring, as you talked about, those undercurrents into the books because I feel that people who come to Hatteras to visit or live here or love to read about places that they don't know a lot about, that helps them understand what life here is really like. And certainly in Building a Little Love, that's a big part of it. It's going to talk about how we all deal with change down here.
Okay.
And, the tensions that do exist sometimes during the on season, during the off season, how everybody deals with everybody else. And I know that's a bit of a touchy subject. I think I've dealt with it in a way that just makes everybody think a little bit about what we have here and how to keep it the best way it can be. It will never, ever, always be the same.
No.
I started coming here in 1964. Is it the same? Absolutely not. When I was a teenager in the 70s, absolutely not. It's going to change. It's how we deal with that change, accept that change, and make the change positive.
Absolutely.
That's what counts.
You nailed that. You absolutely nailed that by the way you described it. And saying, from the 60s to the 70s, you have the appearance of someone that may have been born in the 80s, if I had to say so myself. So when you say like when I first came down here in 1964, I was like, she meant 1994.
No, I wish, but to get back to the root of your question, I think it's an important one. My books are romance, and that's what they're about. They're about interactions of people and emotions and happy endings. The HEA. Gotta have the HEA.
The HEA. Well, let me ask you this. What's next? What's next for Jan Dawson? Author Jan Dawson. What's next?
But I really wanted to spend this fall and this year with Tangled Lines and making sure that, like the book was wrapped up with a bow, this holiday season, I wrap up Tangled Lines. And then next year, it will be all about building a little love.
Okay.
After that, I'm not sure. There is an idea rolling around in my head, but it wouldn't be a fiction. It would not be romance. So many people have said, you need to write a book about the years that you worked with Dave at the Cape Hatteras Motel.
Okay.
And so I have a working title for that one. It's Queen of the Laundry.
I feel like I remember this story or part of this.
It will be probably little vignettes
Okay.
about what it's some of the things that I remember and some of the really cool things about working with the public in the hospitality business on an oceanfront motel all those years.
So in a lot of ways, this would be a nonfiction?
This would be nonfiction.
Okay.
Yeah, be like a memoir.
Okay. There you go. Great. Yes, absolutely. So and I was going to ask you, you have these, this sweet romance, novel, the HEA. Have you ever had a desire to write anything other? That was kind of a question I was going to ask you to go off of that. Was any other desire to write anything other than a romance novel, fictional romance novel?
I've thought sometimes about mysteries, but there are plenty of people that are doing that. And it's interesting. That's what I read.
Okay.
I don't tend to read romance. I mean, I've read a few in my life, but I'm a voracious reader and I love to read police procedurals and murder mysteries. But not having any knowledge really of the police or the background or something. I mean, you always have to write what you know.
Right.
Any creative writing class, they're going to tell you, write what you know. And so for me to step out of that, I mean, I know about Hatteras and hopefully I know about people and emotions and love.
Yes.
And that's where the romance part comes from.
Got it.
So I guess I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, like I said, I think about, you see like writers in a lot of ways, they have their tendencies, like you said, write what you know. That's what they say. And I've always wondered if there was like, okay, well, I know about this, but I've always wanted to try and write this style, I mean, like when I pick up a book to read it, I gravitate to biography and nonfiction. I always am fascinated, like with, if there's somebody that I'm super interested in and like, I want to know more about them, I will grab that book and I'll read it cover to cover as quick as I can. And that's just where I've always gravitated to when it comes to picking up a book. I have some books that I need to pick up that I haven't picked up in a little while. So with that being said, though, your books can be found in a lot of places. Where specifically? Is there any, like, where can you find them?
Well, for people who live here on the Outer Banks, all of the local bookstores. So we'll start up north. The bookstore in Corolla.
Okay.
And in the Old Town.
Mm-hmm.
The bookstores, there are two bookstores in Duck Cottage, and Island Books. It's Island Books in Corolla and Island Books in Duck.
Okay.
They're owned by the same person. They carry them in Duck Cottage in Duck.
Yes, ma'am.
And then in Manio, Downtown Books in Manio. Great
bookstore.
And of course, I could not leave out and should have been first if I should have gone from the south to the north. Gigi Rossell at Buxton Village Books. She's amazing. She's been my biggest cheerleader. She's been so helpful. When I first started out with storm season, I mean, her advice was spot on and she was wonderful and she continues to be wonderful. And then Books to be Read in Ocracoke.
Okay.
So then if you move off the island, if you happen to be down in Little Washington, Pamlico Books.
Pamlico Books,
them.
Okay.
And the Next Chapter bookstore in New Bern.
Okay.
Which has been really phenomenal. I've sold a lot of books there. But if you can't get to any of those books now, a number of those bookstores do have an online presence and you can order from them online. And I love to support the local people that have supported me. Mm-hmm. But if you're hearing this and you're out and you're not here and that doesn't work for you, they are available on Amazon.
Okay, excellent. All right. That's good to know because, there's going to be people that are probably not in proximity of these,
right.
And
different
so
stores. They are. And that you can get them as Kindle or the paperback.
Excellent.
And I believe I have some audio books out there that they did as a beta project that are out there. Mm-hmm. The nice thing is they're inexpensive because I am a somewhat unknown author.
Right.
And they're easy to read. somebody who's a real reader could probably read them in a day. But if you're sitting out on the beach, which is kind of, or snuggled up in front of your fireplace thinking about the beach,
right? Yeah,
it's a good weekend read. And I would say if your listeners, if you haven't read any of the books, start with Storm Season.
Okay.
And the nice thing about it at this time of year, Storm Season has a Christmas ending.
That's right. It does. It
so
definitely does.
That would definitely fit with the season. But my thing this year is 3 Under the Tree.
3 Under the Tree.
Buy all 3 of them. It won't put you out. And hopefully mothers and daughters and aunts and cousins and neighbors and colleagues at work and friends from church or wherever you need to buy that little gift. I think this would bring a lot of happiness.
Well, that's excellent. And you're absolutely right. And of course, I will post the locations where you can find the books and a link for the books. If you need to get directly to them on Amazon, I'll post it in the description of the podcast for you. So that way people can get there and take a look and see it and everything. And hopefully go ahead and of course, also, I want to say this, Outer Banks this week has an e-blast and you're on the e-blast. And if you haven't subscribed to the e-blast, it's a great way to get some information about things that are going on, events, different types of activities that are taking place on the Outer Banks. And there's also, you'll see author Jan Dawson's books, and a beautiful graphic that you can click on to get more information there as well. So I wanted to make that known. Let me ask you one more question before I turn you loose. I know you're busy. When you're not writing books, when you're not taking these cinematographic images from your brain and putting them on paper, what are some hobbies of like an author like yourself? What are some things you like to do here on Hatteras Island, for example?
Oh, we are inveterate walkers, Dave and I. We love to walk. We do it for our health, but we also do it just because we have a beautiful place to walk in.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that we really enjoy. And to be honest, when I was in the course of writing the books, walking was a great way to think about the next chapter or to work through a problem I might be having or let things just sort out for themselves. I also read, as I mentioned.
Yes.
That's one of my hobbies. And then even though we love Hatteras, we love to travel.
Okay.
So that's something that I would say is definitely a hobby.
Excellent.
I've traveled for my work for many, many years and continued that in quote unquote retirement.
Right. I gotcha. Well, I wanted to ask that question real quick because it's like, when you're not doing this, what are you doing over, that sort of thing. Just
we stay busy. I'll tell you that.
Gotcha. Well, Miss Jan, I appreciate you giving me some time this week to be on the podcast and to talk about your upcoming book, Tangled Lines, and it can be the part of the 3 under the tree for this holiday season. So, well,
thank you so much again for giving me the opportunity. And I just want to say that to the folks that are listening, for those who are my readers or who have taken a chance on me, how much I appreciate it. I want to wish everyone really a very happy, healthy, relaxing, joyous holiday season.
Thank you, Miss Jan. Thank you so much. Being healthy, a goal everyone should have for themselves, and at the Outer Banks Sports Club in Nags Head, it's a goal they take very seriously. Their mission is to help people from all walks of life achieve their personal health and fitness goals. Whether it be to lose weight, get stronger, increase speed and agility, or simply to improve your overall physical and mental health, the Outer Banks Sports Club is the gym for you. They offer the largest and best selection of fitness equipment throughout the Outer Banks, suitable for beginners through top-notch athletes. Visit them online at OBX-sportsclub.com to see their facility and to get signed up. The Outer Banks Sports Club in Nags Head, proudly keeping the OBX healthy and strong for over 15 years. All right, we're going to jump into some events now. Man, I'm telling you, Miss Jan Dawson is a fantastic human being, y'all. Sweetheart of a person. And I mean, she plays them all out. Like, what was she saying? How did she say it? The books play out in my mind and I just write it down, or something to that effect. I can't remember exactly how she said it, but it was something like that. But I mean, I'm telling you, I'm going to post a link in the description where you can find her books. And I will also, we'll just make sure we get it redirected. And of course, sign up for the e-blast if you haven't done that at Outer Banks this week. And you can see links right there for how to get her books as well. All right, again, events. We're going to jump into those events, and all these events can be found online at outerbanksthisweek.com. Let me start by saying, be sure and support your high school, middle school athletics. I want to take it a step further. Make sure you're supporting the performing arts as well, whether it be the band, the chorus, the plays. You heard my special edition podcast for the Messiah play last week, okay? I want to extend it to those folks as well. All right, and I feel like I haven't been doing that. I need to show them some love. So high school and middle school athletics, yes, we got basketball season, swimming, wrestling. There's so many different things going on this winter, but don't forget about the performing arts. You got to show the love to the performing arts. There's some fantastic people, and that would be like their Broadway, maybe. You never know. They might end up on Broadway. Who knows? So show those folks, those kids some love as well. We're going to take a look right now, though. Like I'm looking at being as this is like Thanksgiving edition of the Outer Banks This Week podcast, I'm looking at specifically those businesses right now that are doing some Thanksgiving dinners in case you haven't made your mind up yet. So like the 18th annual Thanksgiving Day dinner at Bass Knight's Lone Cedars from 10:30 to 7:30. That's one you can go to. There's a Thanksgiving buffet at Red Sky in Duck. You can go and be a part of that. Mulligan's is doing a Thanksgiving Day dinner in Nag's Head. There's a Thanksgiving Day dinner going on in Avon at the Froggy Dog. There's also one going on in Buxton at the Diamond Shoals restaurant. There's also Thanksgiving dinner going on at Ocracoke Oyster Company. All you can eat Thanksgiving buffet at the Jolly Roger. Yes, the Jolly Roger's having one. And then there's the Thanksgiving dinner at NC Coast in Duck as well. Looking like there's plenty of places, and I'm sure that there's a lot more, where you can get a good Thanksgiving dinner. I believe that Cafe Pamlico is also doing a Thanksgiving dinner down in Buxton too. So keep that in mind when you're looking for places to eat. If you haven't decided, if you're not cooking at home, it's just the two of you, or you want to do the whole family and take them all out for a big dinner. I mean, these are all some great suggestions for places to get your dinner. Let's take a look at some Black Friday stuff. Look. Oh my gosh, Black Friday and Saturday at Trio in Kitty Hawk. There's some things going on at Trio. We've got the Ocracoke Preservation Trust, or Society rather, their Historic Homes Tour. That's going on Friday, November 28th. There's a Black Friday sale at Absolutely Outer Banks in Kitty Hawk. Foxy Flamingo. Let's see, Kitty Hawk Kites. Oh gosh, the Caroloa Bamboo Outer Banks. That's a new store. They've got some different things going on up there. As far as Black Friday things, lots of different stuff that you can go ahead and get your hands on and take a look at. I mean, the list is endless. It feels that way, at least. I'm just scrolling at all the different activities and all the different shopping things that you can do right here on outerbanksthisweek.com. You can take a look at it all for yourself. And just like, again, you're going to scroll. What my Energizer bunny guy say? Keeps going and going. You're going to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling some more. So lots of fun things. Cannot forget about a Wan Cheese Christmas, okay? That's happening this coming Saturday, the 29th, in Wanchie's at the community building. We got the parade starting at 10 o'clock. There's going to be all sorts of fun things going on as far at the community building with crafters, vendors, food. There's going to be a petting zoo. They're going to do the Christmas tree lighting that night. There's going to be a lot of things going on this Saturday, November 29th at the Wanchie's community building, starting at like 8 o'clock in the morning and going all day long. So just some things for you to think about that you may want to participate in. All right. I think that's really going to do it. I don't know that I forgot anything. I do appreciate Miss Jan Dawson for giving me an opportunity to go down to her home and to talk to her about her new books. And of course, I'll post the link for all that in the description of this podcast. So keep that in mind. With that being said, though, I don't know what I'm doing next week just yet. I ain't quite figured that out. I'll get there when I get there, but I do want to wish each and every one of you a very happy Thanksgiving. And I pray that you just know how thankful we should be to be here on the Outer Banks. And if you're here, good. If not, maybe you can make that arrangement for next year. But we are very thankful to have this area and this beautiful place for some of us to call home, and for a lot of you to call a second home, you know? So I appreciate you. Again, I'm very thankful for each and every one of you that listen to the podcast every week and share your thoughts, your suggestions, your ideas, your gripes, your complaints, whatever. I'm thankful for those too. I need them because they all help me try to make this thing better and better as we go. And anyway, again, happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. I'll see y'all again next week. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye.
This has been another radical edition of the Outer Banks This Week podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe, follow us on social media, and listen every Thursday for a new episode.